They called him a man of God, a miracle worker, a savior. But behind the sermons and the smiles was a man bound by a darker covenant. A covenant not made in heaven, but in the deepest pit of hell. And when the truth began to close in, Pastor Elias Grange vanished, leaving behind a trail of blood, bones, and unanswered questions. Before we dive into today's story, if you're new here, make sure to hit the subscribe button, give this video a like, share it with others, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to turn on the notification bell, so you'll be the first to know whenever we post new unsolved true crime and chilling stories like this one. Before the scandal, before the disappearances, before the whispers of ritual sacrifice, Pastor Elias Grange was a household name. Born in a small countryside town, Elias was a quiet, almost invisible child. His father abandoned the family early, leaving his mother to raise him in a crumbling farmhouse. She was deeply religious, but not in the way most people would expect. Villagers whispered that she was a spiritualist, a woman who could speak to the other side. Some called her a healer, others called her cursed, and young Elias was often seen in the back of her prayer hut, eyes wide as she performed strange midnight rituals. By the time he was 20, Elias had left town. No one knew where he went. Some claimed he studied theology overseas. Others said he was last seen boarding a train with a man no one recognized, pale-skinned, wearing a long black coat in the middle of summer. 10 years later, Elias returned. But this was not the shy, awkward boy they remembered. He was charismatic now, magnetic. His voice carried like thunder during sermons. He spoke of healing the sick, casting out demons, breaking curses. And the miracles? Oh, the miracles were undeniable. The blind claimed they could see. Cancer patients threw away their medication after a single prayer. A paralyzed man walked, sobbing, in front of hundreds of witnesses. His church, the Temple of Everlasting Light, went from a rusty shed to a sprawling glass and marble megachurch within a year. Money poured in. Followers flocked from other states, even other countries, desperate for his touch. But behind the scenes, there were murmurs. Members who were blessed by Elias sometimes vanished weeks later. Their families received no answers. The church claimed they had moved to serve God elsewhere. Police investigations went nowhere. One night, a former church assistant, Sarah Lindholm, agreed to speak anonymously on a late-night radio program. Her voice trembled as she described an incident she claimed to have witnessed. Sarah, audio clip. It was around 2 a.m. Pastor called me to bring him some documents to the prayer room. When I walked in, he wasn't alone. There was something with him. Tall, shadowy. It had no face, but I could feel its eyes on me. I froze. Pastor didn't even look surprised to see me. He just smiled and said, "Sarah, you shouldn't be here." Then everything went black. I woke up in my bed, but I hadn't gone home on my own. Within a week of that broadcast, Sarah disappeared. Over the next 2 years, a disturbing pattern emerged. Church records showed at least 42 members who had joined and later gone missing. Most were young, healthy, and financially well off. One ex-member claimed Elias would invite certain followers to a private deliverance retreat in a secluded property outside the city. They were never seen again. Neighbors near the property spoke of hearing strange chanting at night, sometimes accompanied by screams. One night, a hunter passing through the woods spotted flickering firelight near the retreat house. He approached quietly and claimed to have seen Elias standing in a circle of hooded figures, holding a silver chalice that dripped dark liquid onto the ground. The hunter fled and never returned. When several families began pressuring the police, a formal investigation was launched. At first, authorities met with nothing but silence. Church staff refused to answer questions, citing religious confidentiality. But one detective, Daniel Kersey, was determined. In a taped interview, he recounted the moment that shook him to his core. Detective Kersey recorded statement: "We got a warrant to search his private quarters at the retreat house. In the basement, there was a door, heavy iron, padlocked from the outside. We cut it open. Inside, The walls were covered in strange symbols, not in any language I recognized. There were bones on the floor, not animal bones, human bones, and a smell like burned hair and rot. We found personal items, rings, watches, shoes, matching the missing members. The retreat house was sealed off. A nationwide warrant was issued for Elias Grange, but Elias was already gone. Witnesses last saw him leaving the church late one evening, dressed in his usual immaculate white suit. CCTV cameras captured him walking into the church parking lot, and then nothing. The footage glitched. For exactly 6 minutes and 66 seconds, a timestamp later confirmed as impossible, the screen was black. When the feed returned, his car was still there, keys in the ignition, but Elias was gone. Faith can be a light in the darkness, but when it becomes a weapon in the hands of the wrong soul, it can lead to places far darker than hell itself. Elias Grange promised salvation. Instead, he left behind an altar of bones, a flock without a shepherd, and a question that may never be answered. Did he run from justice, or was he claimed by the very thing that gave him his power?